Hi everybody, Dr. Susan here. Here we are at our, I guess, online class or whatever you want to call this that we're doing. But I've been wanting to do this for a long time just to help people troubleshoot their weight loss. A lot of patients that I've had in the past. So if you've been with me, we have a real mix of people here. People have worked with me in the past at Atlanta Weight Loss and Body Balance. So people have worked with me in my practice on weight loss. A lot of you are already fasting and things like that. Some of this information may be a little redundant in the beginning, but we're going to go through 6 weeks and hopefully everyone will get something out of it. My idea was if you're in the holiday season and you can be good most of the time and kind of implement some of these strategies, then you'll come out in January having not gained a pound, maybe even losing some. So that's the goal here. So over the 6 weeks, the first week, which will be this week, we're going to talk about lowering your blood sugar levels. Finding out what those blood sugar levels are. Weight loss is very hormonal. Has a lot to do with the hormone insulin and the cells. So that's why the cell's here behind me. I'm going to explain that in a minute. So we'll be lowering, the focus of this week will be lowering your blood sugar levels. Week 2, it's how to get fat adapted. So if you're fat adapted, your body's fat adapted, you're using fat for energy rather than sugar. We don't want you to be sugar burners. That's what makes you hungry every 2 hours. We want you to be fat burners. That's when you can go for long durations without eating, and that's when fasting actually becomes easier. And we'll get into that later on. We're not talking about fasting now, but we do want to get you fat adapted. We want your body to use your body fat for energy. So your body actually will be losing weight every single day if you're fat adapted. And I'm going to teach you how to know if you are fat adapted. You will know because you won't be hungry and your energy will be through the roof. And you have mental clarity and so many other things. It decreases inflammation dramatically. So anybody with high blood pressure or migraine headaches that you might suffer from, when you decrease the inflammation in the body, it's amazing what can happen. So that's going to be week 2. Week 3, it's not about eating less food. So many diet programs out there are about restricting your calories, and I'll talk about how that is not the solution. It is for short-term weight loss. Let's say if you have a wedding coming up and you want to fit into that dress and you want to lose 10 pounds, then you would restrict calories, lose it quickly, but you would wind up gaining it back. We don't want that. We want to change your body from the inside out so that you can lose weight permanently. And it's not about eating less food, it's about eating food less often. So we'll talk about that. The next thing is how diet variation is the key, and we'll talk about that. Many people on this who are receiving these emails know about diet variation, but I always tell them, vary it up. And they don't always, I don't think, quite get what I'm talking about. So we'll do some examples of what that means when I tell you to vary it up. So we'll show you how to do that. And then, we want to make sure that you're getting ready for the holidays. So that will be our 6th week, but I forgot our 5th week. Our 5th week is actually going to be our toxins. Toxins are so abundant in today's world, so we have to guard our bodies against that, and that causes inflammation and weight gain, thyroid challenges, endocrine problems, female hormone issues, and all of that. So we want to make sure that we're combating against that also. So for that holiday week, which is the last week, week 6, we'll talk about getting ready for the holidays. I'm going to welcome you all to please send me emails with your questions or challenges about the holidays, or if you're looking for recipes. We have all these tools. We want to share them. We just don't want to overwhelm mailboxes, so just let me know. Send emails and let me know if you want that information. So anyway, for today, week 1, the first thing is I want you to set your mind on what your goal is for the 6 weeks. What do you want to accomplish? And write it down and be specific. So if there's a weight you're trying to get to, be specific with that weight. If you're trying to lower blood sugar, be specific and write that down. If you want to decrease inflammation, you want to know what your inflammation markers are and be able to reduce them in this 6 week. So we want to decrease inflammation, we want to see weight loss, we want to see hormone regulation, we want to see your triglycerides go down, we want to see memory improved, we want to see sleep improve, and brain fog be lifted. So that's our goal here. We have a lot of goals. Everybody's at different levels, like I said, trying to achieve different things. Not everybody here is here for weight loss, so I'm going to try to be talking about everything, how this improves your health all across the board. So this is kind of the eating style that I live in and recommend. So I'm going to get into it. But first, everything we do starts with the cell. So that's why I have the cell driven behind me here. You can't see it very well, but I just really want you to get the concept of what I'm talking about. So this is a cell, and the cell membrane is made out of a fatty lipid bilayer. And unfortunately, toxins are drawn to fat. So our cells get very inflamed with toxins. And what happens when that happens is nutrients can't get into the cell, and then toxins also can't get out of the cell. So your cells become very bogged down with toxins and unable to get the nutrients in. Because that also, the hormone receptors for insulin, thyroid hormone, whatever the hormone, we have so many hormones. We have 30 weight loss hormones alone. But your cell has to hear these hormones. And what happens is when the cell is inflamed and the hormone receptors are sitting on that inflamed cell membrane, the hormone receptors get blunted, so they can't hear the hormones, and that's when you become insulin resistant. So I talk about that often. What insulin resistance is like when you have insulin constantly pulsing through your body, your cells get full of insulin and they shut down. And also when your cells are inflamed, the hormone receptors get blunted and insulin can't get into the cell anymore. That makes blood sugar float around in your blood, and that's what raises the blood sugar up. So that's the one thing we're going to be combating in the 6 weeks. We want to break insulin resistance. If you keep going on the path you're on and you are insulin resistant, that's what leads to type 2 diabetes. So you don't want to be on that path. So we want to get you on the healthier path and break that insulin resistance. So the way you start to get fat adapted, and meaning your body's going to use the body fat for energy instead of sugar, is that you have to decrease your carbohydrate intake below 50 grams of net carbohydrates. So what net carbohydrates are is a total number of carbohydrates minus the fiber. So if you use an app, a tracking app, and I'll talk about that in a minute, it will calculate your net carbs. 50 net carbs is a pretty good amount of carbs. Like I feel like I'm on a feast day when I eat 50 grams of net carbs a day. So I feel it's a good amount for anyone to start with. So 50 grams of net carbs. We want to keep protein low. Protein, most people don't know this, but protein in excess in your body, if it's more than you need, and protein is used to maintain your muscle mass. So a lot of people have the formula that you need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's not true. It's half of your lean body mass. You only have to support your lean body mass, not your total weight. So those numbers are often skewed in, I've seen it in some apps like MyFitnessPal. They have women eating 150 grams of protein. That's way too much. So usually for women it's about 55, 60 grams depending on your lean body mass. If you exercise often, you'd add 10 grams to that, so maybe up to 75 grams, but that's really the top for a woman. But you need your lean body mass number, and you cut that number in half, and that's the number of protein that you should have, grams of protein. You also want to increase your electrolytes, because as you decrease the carbs, sugar molecules will come out of your body. You're going to be depleting sugar out of your body. So you will become a little deficient in electrolytes because there are molecules of water connected to these carbohydrate or sugar molecules, and you will lose water weight, but with that you will lose electrolytes. So you want to replenish those electrolytes so you don't feel bad, and how you do that is you have pink salt. So Himalayan pink salt is what I recommend. A quarter teaspoon a day, a quarter to a half. It's not like white iodized salt, so you don't have to be worried about it. It doesn't even taste salty. I think it's delicious. I probably eat about a tablespoon of salt a day. It's nothing, it won't danger anything, anybody's blood pressure, kidneys. It's a quarter teaspoon, it's very little bit, but it'll keep you feeling good throughout this whole 6 weeks. The other thing is our cell detox program, which you don't have to do. You're not obligated to do anything if you're part of this. But sometimes people have trouble getting their blood sugar down, or we'll talk about ketones later on. It's hard to produce ketones, and it's because your body is in such a toxic state. So sometimes you do need a cellular detox and kind of restructure that cell to be able to accomplish what you need with hormone receptors and things like that. So just keep that in mind. If you have more questions, please reach out to us. We're here to help you through this. And week 4, we're going to do diet variation. So that's the 5th strategy for getting fat adapted. So this is the one I have the most trouble with people, because once I get them going with those macros and on this program, they don't want to go out of them. But sometimes you have to, and I'll explain that later on how that works. So we want you to start testing your blood sugar. So you want to know what your blood sugar number is. Your blood sugar should not be over 100. If it is, it's fine right now, but you do want to see it start trending downward. So you want to test it each morning. As you're go through the night. So of course you're fasting. See, everybody fasts every day. That's not going to hurt you at all. But when you wake up in the morning, you just take your fasting blood sugar. You just need a $10 glucose reader. You get it at Walmart or CVS, stuff, places like that. It's very inexpensive. The strips are very expensive. So you just test it. And we'll talk more about more extensive glucose testing as we move through the weeks. But for right now, just get a morning glucose number and try to do it like 3 times a week. Just see how your blood sugar is trending. So how you do this, how you get the blood sugar to go down, is you follow those macros that I just laid out to you. So getting carbohydrates down below 50 net grams of carbs. And the other thing is you have to take sugar out of your diet. So not only white sugar, because a lot of people say to me, I don't eat sugar. Well, you do, because anything that turns to sugar in your body is sugar. So you want to make sure that you're reducing grains. And you don't have to reduce them completely. Well, we're not doing that, but you should cut down and become mindful of them. That's a first step. You want to switch your fat. So you want to know the difference between a healthy fat and an inflammatory fat. We have a healthy fat list. We'll be happy to send it to anybody. Just have to email us back that you want the healthy fat list or anything else that I'm telling you about. We have it. We'd love to send it to you. But healthy fats are things, I always say, like a God food, like something that was created on earth. Like I always say, why would God create it if it was bad for us? He wouldn't. So like avocados, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, nut butters, raw nut butters, ghee, things like that. Those are healthy fats. You need them in your diet every day. Those fats will help this cell membrane get more, more flexible, so that nutrients can travel in and out and the toxins can come out. It's a better diet. It's a better way for everything. But inflammatory fat is anything fried, so it's the heating of the oil that causes it to become rancid and inflammatory. So you don't want to eat vegetable oils or anything fried. You don't want to eat just commercial butter. I always recommend Kerrygold butter or pasture-raised butter or organic. Pasture-raised is actually more important than organic, because organic just means it's not sprayed, which is definitely important. But you want to make sure it's pasture-raised. The cow needs to be in the environment it was meant to be in. So either grass-fed or pasture-raised. It's out in the fields. It's eating grass. It's eating the food it was intended to eat. So it's producing the meat and the milk or the product it was intended to produce. Okay? So if you eat a commercial, think about a commercial raised, I don't want to say raised, but a commercial cow. They're in a very small cage or environment. They can't move at all. They're fed grains, which are inflammatory to their bodies, so they produce inflammatory. They're also stressed out, so a lot of, epinephrine and adrenaline flowing through their bodies. It just becomes a very poor and inflammatory type product. So you don't want to eat anything like that. And then we want you to switch your meat. So if you're eating commercial raised meat, we want you to eat a more grass-fed meat. And again, you have to take care of your protein amount. So this isn't a high protein diet. You're eating 4 or 5 ounces of meat. It's not a lot. So a lot of people used to complain that, it's so expensive, but honestly, it's not anymore, because they're selling it in grocery stores. You just have to look. Aldi is fantastic. If you have an Aldi near you, they sell grass-fed meat, organic, pasture-raised. They have it all there, and very, very reasonable and expensive. So your food budget doesn't have to go up. And then, so that's the 3 exchanges that we wanted you to do while we're together for the 6 weeks. So we have the 3 exchanges, and then we have the macros, the under 50 net carbs, and about 55 to 65 grams of protein for women. And you want to eat over 60% of your calories from fat, healthy fat, good fat. The other thing I want to talk about is intermittent fasting. So I talked about that a minute ago. Everybody intermittent fasts. So when you mention fast, people are like, oh my gosh, I can't. You do it all the time. When you stop eating dinner at night and you don't eat till the next morning, you're fasting. That's where the word breakfast comes from. It's break fast. In many other countries, they follow that. Some countries, they only eat 1 meal a day. They eat much less than we do here in America. So it's only kind of a crazy concept here in America, where we're told to eat every 2 hours. But you think about it, where has our health gone as a country since we've been told that in the 1990s? Obesity has grown, diabetes have grown, cancer has grown. It's unbelievable what has happened in this country as far as our health. We're certainly not a healthier nation. We're a much sicker nation. So intermittent fasting, you want to go at least 12 to 14 hours. I would love to see somebody go 16 hours. I know many of you are already a 24-hour fast who've been working with me for a while. So maybe for you guys, you need to go to 36. If you've gone to 36, try to go to 48. So we try to step you into fasting. So I would say you need to flex your fasting muscle. So fasting takes time, and part of it is first working on your blood sugar and getting fat adapted. Once you're fat adapted and your body's using body fat for energy, it's simple to fast. I've been fasting all week. I think just today I broke it. I've been fasting since Sunday night. It's not a big deal to me anymore because now that I'm fat adapted, it's a mental game. And once you beat the mental game that you don't have to eat all the time, it's really simple. So you definitely want to start incorporating intermittent fasting. And the great thing about intermittent fasting is that you can do it anytime, anywhere. So, you know, the holidays are coming. I always say the holidays are 1 or 2 days out of the year. Thanksgiving is one day. One day, Thursday, is Thanksgiving. I give everybody a free pass on that day. I said, eat anything you want. I don't care. Have fun. I don't want anyone to be deprived. I don't want anyone sitting in the corner sobbing. You know, you want to eat your aunt's favorite pie that she makes every Thanksgiving and enjoy the food. I'm from an Italian family in New York. We enjoy food too much. And I wouldn't want to be sitting there feeling deprived at that time. So eat on Thanksgiving. Eat all you want. But the thing is, you can intermittent fast on that day. So there's something that you can do to benefit your health and benefit what you're trying to achieve over the next 6 weeks. And we'll be done by the time Thanksgiving comes around. No, we won't actually. It'll be by Christmas time. So on Thanksgiving, if you eat and you're full, my recommendation always is stop eating at a certain time. Just call it quit. So let's say it's 8 o'clock at night. Don't eat again until 12, 1 o'clock the next day. You're going to be full. You're not going to feel like eating. Mentally, you may want to eat, but don't. Just be mentally tough. That's what a lot of fasting takes. And you can do it. You know, you can get through this holiday season without gaining an ounce or having a health challenge one bit. So the other thing is, we want you to start counting and paying attention to how many times a day do you eat. So if you eat, and when I say eat, it could be passing through the kitchen and picking up 3 grapes. You know, it could be a handful of nuts. It could be a coffee with just a little bit of milk in it. That's eating. So you want to make sure that you're not eating multiple times a day. And I'll explain why. That's why I had to think for a minute. Every time you eat anything, even those 3 grapes, you raise your insulin levels up. So you might not affect your blood sugar, but your insulin level is going to be affected. So it could be a diet soda, and your body perceives it still as sugar because the taste is so sweet. So a lot of people drink diet soda all day long, and believe me, you're harming yourself more than you know. So please do not drink any diet sodas or anything like that. Crystal Light, I had a patient yesterday the other day, wanted to drink Crystal Light. It's raising your insulin level. So as hard as you're working to get this all to go in the way you want it to go, if you're doing something like that, and I know it has all zeros, it's 0 calories, 0 everything, 0 carbs, it's all zeros. I don't care. You're raising your insulin levels. If it tastes good and it tastes sweet, there's something in there. So I have people all the time send me pictures of labels. And I'm like, look, it's all zeros, no sugar. And I'll read the words. You always have to read the words or ingredients. And I'll point out 3 or 4 times sugar. They don't call it sugar anymore. The marketing companies are smart. They're so smart. So they're calling it different things. If you see natural flavoring in your seltzer, it's sugar. They're putting it in. So please be cautious, because if you're going to work so hard at this, I don't want you to not succeed because you don't know these little tricks. So the last thing I want to talk to you about tonight is tracking what you're eating. So that's how I learned so much about my health and what I was eating. Get an app. If a phone is, something that's always with you, get a Cronometer app. It's called Cronometer, Cronometer, or a Carb Manager. I'm not a fan of MyFitnessPal just personally, but you could use that also. I know many people do. It's just not a fan for me. I like Cronometer. That's the one I use. I like Carb Manager also. Those are my 2 favorite. But if you start decreasing your carbohydrates, and you put all your food in every time you eat it, and do that every time you eat. Stop for 1 second and put the food in. Do not put it all in at the end of the day. That drives me crazy because you're not remembering everything you put in your mouth. So you want true numbers. It's for your own benefit. So just take the second, it takes 5 seconds, put it in your phone. When you see at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, I went over my carbohydrate number. How did I do that? You can click on the carbohydrates and everything you ate for the day, it'll give the carb count. Well, this is how I found out how much, bananas have 70 grams of carbs. And I was like, well, no wonder. If I didn't eat that banana, I would have been perfect. So this is how you learn carbohydrate foods, what is putting that number over the top. And that's how you change your habits, because you don't want to go over the count. So, I'm like of a competitive nature. You probably are too. You want to be able to keep those numbers within the right number. So that's really it for this week. I'll tell you one little thing about myself. That 2 years ago, actually it's 3 years ago now, oh my God, time's flying, but I started doing this. So most of you know me, all of you know me, and that I had MS. The one thing that stuck with me with the MS was I was always tired, debilitating tired. It did get better. I went from not being able to get past 11 o'clock in the morning to maybe going to 3, but I had to take a nap. Maybe making it till 5, still couldn't function after 5. I couldn't make it through a whole day, no way, up until 2016. So in 2016, I finally gave in. At that time, I'll tell you, I was a vegan, I was a vegetarian, I was a fruitarian. I ate lots and lots of fruit, bananas, figs, dates rolled in coconut, all of it. That was what I ate most of the day. Huge white potatoes, because I didn't eat very much meat, so I was very potato, carbohydrate eating that way. So tired. Within 5 days of eating this way, my energy levels shot through the roof, and they've been that way ever since. I cured my fatigue with eating this way. It plays such a huge part. And also, I've noticed it. I test my blood every 3 months. Everybody should do that. Should test your blood at least once or twice a year. And I saw that my blood sugar was creeping up to 100 and then creeping over 100. And I was like, what's going on? I eat so well. I don't eat gluten. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat fast food. I don't eat toxins or processed food. I was like, how is my blood sugar going up and up and up? And it's because of all the carbohydrates I was eating. So many people don't realize that, and they eat lots of fruit, and because fruit's healthy, right? So I'm going to eat it as a snack. So they eat lots of fruits and lots of dates and lots of figs and all kinds of stuff like that. That's what's causing the blood sugar to go up. And it's also causing inflammation in the body, and it's also causing fatigue because your body just it doesn't have energy. So carbohydrates burn on like a fireplace. If you put a piece of paper in, like when you start a fire, you put paper in, it burns very quick. And it's ashy, so there's ash flying all over the place. That's how a carbohydrate burns in your body. It's very dirty, very messy. And it doesn't last, just like the piece of paper doesn't last. But if you think about burning a piece of coal is a very long, sustained energy source. So that's how fat burns. It's very long, you have lots of energy, and it's sustainable. Like now I go to, I get up every day at 5:30 in the morning. I commute here to the office. I drive 100 miles round trip to my office. And I don't go to bed sometimes 11, 12 at night. And then I go to sleep, and I sleep soundly, but it's a long day, you know what I mean? But I have the energy now to sustain it. I'm so thankful for that. And that's part of the reason why I'm so emphatic and wanted to share this with people, because I know so many people are suffering. I get the questions every day, people are trying so hard, but it's just that little tweaking, and hopefully we're going to work through that all in the next couple weeks. So that's all I have for you tonight, and we'll see you on week 2. Week 2, I want you to kind of pay attention to how many times a day you're eating. So some people were shocked who, I worked with a group of this before privately, and they were eating 24 to 27 times a day. So take count this week, pay attention to how many times a day you're eating. So you want to be sure that you're not snacking often, raising that insulin level often. Insulin tells your body, store food. It's a food storage hormone. You don't want that pulsing through your body for so many reasons. And we'll go more into detail in future weeks. But let's start with that, counting how many times a day you're eating, and also testing your blood sugar. I think that's a great start. So I look forward to seeing you on next week's video, and we'll have more information for you then. Okay? Have a good night.